Hey everyone, so this is my Sephora recommendations video. I'm going to focus just on two categories. Actually, it's like a lot of categories within these categories, but the first is going to be the products that I use to prep my skin after I wash my face in the morning. What do I do next before I start my makeup routine? And then I'm going to go through my general makeup routine, especially on a day when I'm doing semi or full glam like today, and talk about my top product, my top recommendation, and maybe a runner up. In some cases, I may cheat and offer three recommendations or talk about others along the way. If you would like to see a separate video on just skincare, particularly evening care, like how I take my makeup off, and then all the things that I do to my face before I go to sleep and to take care of my skin, and then hair care, do let me know. I promise not to be offended if you could not care less about those two categories. So let's go into prep for the skin before I actually start my makeup routine. I'm not a makeup artist. You know this. I'm just a makeup lover. I'm 51. I have combination skin I should share so that it's like oily here in the T zone and then regular, normal around the edges. I haven't really had ever dry skin on my face. Sometimes my lips get dry, but other than that, I can be a really oily gal, oily to normal. I do have wrinkles and a little discoloration. In fact, you can see some of the discoloration right here and then some under my eyes that I cover with concealer and all of that. So let me share with you what I do after I wash my face. Sometimes in the shower, I exfoliate. In fact, often in the shower, I use a gentle daily exfoliator. But then when I get out of the shower, if I remember to, and I don't do this every single day, I use an exfoliator slash toner type of thing on my face. So my favorite today, these days, and you see that this is a new bottle because I've already gone through a bottle of this, used it, and I'm ready to break open the new one. This is the Paula's Choice Exfoliate 2% BHA liquid exfoliant, and this has salicylic acid in it. I prefer this darker gray tube to the lighter gray tube that's in this same skincare line. I can't explain to you why. I just like the slip of this better. I like the way it sinks into my skin better. And I like the way that my skin feels tight yet flexible afterward. And I feel like it's prepped then for all of the other products that I want to put on. I probably use this maybe 3 times a week at the most because it is an active ingredient and I can feel it on my face. And it's the kind of product that if I use it too many days in a row, combined with my other skincare, like I use tretinoin at night, I just want to be careful about putting too many active products on my face and maybe like burning my skin slightly. But this is an excellent one. If you're not familiar with the Paula's Choice line, it is one of the best, and I trust the recommendations of the owner. She's been in the beauty industry for forever, and she was one of the first people, like back in the day. She had a book called Don't Go to the Makeup Counter Without Me, or something similar to that, that I consumed like with joy back in, I think it was the late 90s, early 2000s, somewhere in there, where she sort of exposed that so many brands have very similar products. Like some of the lower end and higher end do similar things. She compared products. She told you where it was worth it to splurge on high end products and where you could save with lower end or whatever. All of that to say, I have a lot of respect and appreciation for the owner, Paula, and I forget her last name, of this company. So I do trust the brand. Then I will typically go in with an essence and or a serum. I don't always do both steps. If I am short on time, I will do some kind of essence. One of my favorites these days, and this is sold at Sephora, and it is massively pricey, but for me, worth every penny and worth repurchasing. This is the Sarah Creole Moisture Source. This is a biphase brightening essence. I don't really notice the brightening aspect of it. I don't ever think about products as brightening because I, to this day, am not quite sure what that's supposed to mean and whether it literally brightens the color on your face or parts of your face or just gives the impression of a brighter look overall. I've just never really cared about that. But as you can see, there is very little product left in this. I think this is retailing at $90, which feels insane for an essence. But here's what I want to say about this particular one. And I like a number of essences, and you don't have to spend $90 on an essence to get a really good one. The reason I love this one is I enjoy the way that this feels on my skin. I think it has like a beautiful slip to the skin and it sinks in so nicely and never interferes with anything else that I put on over it. So it is very versatile. And the best part of this, I believe I started using this. I'm filming this in April. Like, I think it's April. What is today's date? April 11th or 12th? I started using this, I believe, last spring or summer. I wanna say I picked this up in the last spring sale, maybe it was the last winter sale, like 2 winters ago from Sephora, but I feel like I started using it either late spring last year or summer, and y'all, I'm still going through this. Do you remember there was some kind of, like, toy or something in the '80s that I had as a little kid, late '70s, early '80s, where when you twisted it and turned it, it was like the liquid seemed to disappear, and then when you twisted it, it filled back up? Who knows what that toy is? Let me know down in the comments because I can't think off the top of my head what it's called and what its name. But I feel like this bottle has been that. All of that to say that you see just this little bit here. I have a burn here. Pardon me. I am okay. That is not product. I burn myself cooking. It doesn't hurt, but do you ever do that? I really hate when that happens. This bottle has lasted and lasted and lasted. When I have felt that I was on my last use, it continued to go for weeks and weeks and weeks. So I have thought that I was on my last little bit for almost a month now, and it just keeps going. And judging by what's in here, there are probably 3, 4, 5, maybe a whole nother week's worth of use here. I will put out maybe 5 to 10 drops at the most, and I'll put it all over my face and down my neck before I do anything else. Sorry to have spent so much time, but this is really a fantastic product that I can't speak highly enough about. I do have other essences that I have on backup. So I don't think I'm going to repurchase this in this sale, but I'll probably repurchase in the fall sale after I go through another essence or two. I have a lot of essences that I like, but I like this. And if you're not familiar with essence, you put essence on after you have washed and dried your face. And if you exfoliate after that, to prep the skin. It's supposed to sort of sink in. And the concept is I don't know the chemistry behind this and if it's accurate, but the concept is that it allows your skin then to nicely absorb other products. Other products can sit on your skin well. It's like also moisturizing. This is an amazing product. So I really, really love it. And then I usually go in with a moisturizer. I have three that I have on rotation. One of the foolproof ones that also acts as a primer for makeup. And I have a backup of this now and ordered two more in the sale when it opened yesterday. It's the Bobbi Brown vitamin enriched face base. And you can see this one is on its last leg. So I'm about to break open another one. I buy the big bottle. These are also super expensive, but so worth it. The consistency of this is nice and thick and emollient. It smells wonderful. If you don't like fragrance in your products, you might hate this. It smells lemony and zesty to me, maybe even a little orangey. And I really like it. It's like it uplifts me when I use it on my face. I like that this is thick and moisturizing, but it doesn't feel overwhelming to my skin. It's like a nice barrier between my skin and my makeup. It also sinks nicely into my skin. And it takes a second or two to dry down. So you want to put this on and then maybe go make your cup of coffee. Speaking of which, I think I left my coffee in the other room. I might have to go get it so we can sip a little coffee together while I'm chatting with y'all. But once you allow this to kind of dry down on your skin, it holds makeup so nicely over it. The same is true of the next product. It can be used as a moisturizer or it can be used lightly underneath a moisturizer if you like several layers of juicy moisturization. And that's the Clarins Double Serum. This just never does me wrong. I've been through bottle after bottle after bottle of this. It's one of those that I repurchase in the sales. And I wish I could tell you exactly how it works. It's a hydric and lipidic system, whatever the heck that means. All I know is that it is both like a serum and a very lightweight oil that you can put over an essence. Maybe you can use it sort of in place of an essence if you're not really a fan of essence or you don't believe that they do a lot. This is a nice sort of first layer. Or if you don't want a lot of moisture on your skin, but you want some moisture, this is a good one to use underneath your makeup. Beautiful product. Again, nice slip, super hydrating for the skin. It feels like my skin has taken a nice big drink of water after I use those kinds of products that I just mentioned. This next product I use both in the morning, at night, and I rotate in between those others. So I don't use all these products every day. After I exfoliate and after if I do the exfoliant, the liquid exfoliant here or something like that, or toner, I usually either do an essence or a serum. Very rare occasion I use both of those, but then I always do a moisturizer. So it's typically a two-step moisturization, either a serum and an essence and a moisturizer. And there are two moisturizers that I've been using lately in addition to that Bobbi Brown. One is the Rhode Glazing Milk. I have a backup of this from the other sale. This one gives you a sort of glass-like look on your skin. If you want your skin to be shiny but not oily or tacky, this is a beautiful product to use. I know there are other products that compete with this, and some people prefer those other products, but I really like this and I really like the packaging on this. I think it's nice and sleek on the counter. I think I've shared in many videos that I'm in this place where I don't want ugly packaging on my counter. Like, this is about as fussy as I would want to get, and it's got way too many words or whatever. I want my packaging to be nice and sleek looking like these products. Some people don't care. I've gotten to the point where I care a little bit, not a whole ton, but enough to, like, be choosy about the product. So I like the way that this one looks. It is kind of a glaze. So if you think about how glaze looks on a glazed donut, it's kinda like that, but for your face. Not that dramatic, but it does give a little bit of a glassy look if you want that sort of juicy moisturization under your skin. And what I like is if you use a lightweight foundation over it, then throughout the day, you get a little bit of sort of glow bouncing off of your skin as the day goes on, if you like that. And then finally, the last moisturizer that I will point to that I have been through, I think probably, I don't know, a dozen or more bottles of this recently in the past few years, the Ulla Henriksen Strength Trainer Peptide Boost Moisturizer. I love this. I love the consistency of this. It's another one that has thickness, kind of like the Bobbi Brown face base, although the face base is thicker, more emollient. This one is a little tiny bit more water infused, if that makes sense. So it's a little bit maybe thinner than the face base, but it's lovely. And I just love the way this feels on my skin. I feel like it makes my skin look juicy. I use this both in the morning as a moisturizer and at night. So for me, one of the key things in the morning before I do anything with makeup is to make sure that my skin is juiced up and moisturized. And then I let it sort of sink in as I'm drinking my coffee or answering emails or responding to comments on YouTube or something like that before I start my makeup routine. In terms of primers, I don't have many to recommend. I have one that I am absolutely loving, and then I don't think I brought the other one in here. There's a lot of good primers. Primer is going to really depend on well, one, whether you believe primer makes a difference or not. I think that it does. I enjoy when I putting a primer on when I need to have my makeup last beyond the workday. That's when I'm really concerned about primer. Like if I'm going out to dinner or if I'm going to have a long day of hanging out at home and filming and I'm under these warm lights and I want to make sure that my makeup stays put and lasts. My very favorite one that I think is worth every penny, although it costs many pennies. There's a lot of pennies that goes into this one. This is the Tom Ford Traceless Soft Matte Primer. I like that it's a thick primer and I like that it's both pore filling and long lasting. And I feel like it helps my skin mattify a little bit without interfering with my moisturizers, if that makes sense. There are some primers I use that pill up or are just, they're hard to use because they're fussy with the other products. They compete with my other moisturizing products. I feel like this one does not. I will also share while we're here talking, there's so many good primers, y'all. If you want a juicy hydrating primer, I think this is sold on Sephora, and you want to have maybe like the effect of the Rhode glazing milk, but in a primer fashion, the Natasha Denona Hygen Skin Glass Energizing and Hydrating Primer Serum, if it is sold on Sephora, is definitely worthwhile. It's got a little bit of like a pearl effect, which helps the like light bounce off of your skin in a beautiful way, and it's both hydrating and gives the effect of leaving your face looking hydrated all day as well. Lots of other beautiful primers, but those would be two top recommendations for me. I also like, if I can just cheat and offer a third, the One Size Primer. I think it's like a blurring primer. Here it is. It's a sweat waterproof mattifying primer. I have a little mini of that one that I put in my travel makeup bag and I take to work events with me because I'm usually up at like 7 or 8 and walking into the office for meetings at that time when I travel for work. And a lot of times we're going out to dinner afterwards. So the day will go from like 7 a.m. sometimes when I'm arriving at the office all the way through 8:30 or 9 if I'm having dinner with colleagues. And I want to make sure a primer helps my makeup last longer. I will say the main thing that happens with makeup during the day for me is sometimes my foundations will fade. And then oftentimes, with many foundations, but not all, I will get a little bit of breakdown around my nose. That is the primary thing that happens that I try to avoid with using a primer. And I try to avoid looking too greasy during the day because this T zone area really does like oil up during the day. So, those are the priming products. I do want to talk about one set of tools before I then dive into the actual makeup products. I cannot speak highly enough of the Sephora brushes. I happened to get three in the last sale. And I think I also got maybe 1 or 2 eyeshadow brushes, but these are the ones that I really want to shout out because I think they are phenomenal and you get 30% off of the Sephora products. These are the only Sephora products I'm gonna recommend, even though the lipsticks and the blushes and the foundation and concealer are all fantastic. I don't have those because of the packaging. Like I mentioned before, yes, I know that sounds snooty as heck, but here we are. So the number 80, which is a pro bronzer brush. Beautiful big bronzer brush that is nice and soft. It gives you like an airbrush effect if you use the right kind of bronzer with it. It's huge and it's soft and just a lovely, lovely brush. The second brush is the Pro. Did I bring 2 Pro bronzers? Ain't I a dum dum? There's a powder brush, y'all. I'm sorry I didn't bring it in here, but the regular face powder brush. Apparently, I like the bronzer brush too much, too so much. I like it so much that I purchased 2 of them because I was like, "Why are these both the number 80?" 'Cause I brought in the 2 bronzer brushes, but there's a powder brush that is in my bathroom. I don't wanna interrupt the video to go grab it, but it's also beautiful for putting loose powder on your face. It's a little bit looser than these that are more densely packed, but these are not that densely packed at all. So the powder brush is even looser for sort of a light application of powder on your face. And I did not want to purchase this one, but I heard so many influencers talking about this because I'm not really the person that enjoys putting on foundation with a brush. I have some foundation brushes that I do really like. I'll share with you in a second why I typically will use a sponge more than a brush. But this number 40 Pro Foundation Brush. It's got the slant. It's got a triangular shape so you can get into corner areas like that, around your nose, etc. You can use this for lots of different things. You can use this for really precise contouring if you want to. You can use it on its side. It's a fabulous brush. So here's the problem that I have with a lot of foundation brushes. They do really well on my most of my skin with the exception of my nose. And that's where it looks a little bit streaky and I have to go back in with a sponge anyway to kind of even out how it looks on my nose. This one does pretty well on my nose. Like I could just take a few extra moments to pat it out and then use my fingers to make sure it doesn't look streaky. And so it's an all-in-one that way. And that's typically why I tend to stay away from, I shouldn't say stay away. I just use foundation brushes less. And also because you can only use them like twice or 3 times before they really need to be cleaned out. So I end up like scrubbing the heck out of them on a microfiber cloth using like some makeup brush cleaner like this Cinema Secrets one. I spray that down and then use this to get some of the foundation out. But so they're kind of a pain to use, but I also enjoy them at the same time. I know, first world problems, but the Sephora big face brushes, y'all, they're amazing. No-brainer brushes. I can't suggest them enough. I can't believe it took me that long to talk about prep and brushes, but now let's get into makeup. I'm going to start with concealer and foundation, which is what I put on my face first. I'm going to go in order of how I apply my products. I most days will put on concealer first because I want it to get a little bit tacky before I go in and then like buff it out or whatever. There are 2 concealers that are top notch. I like a lot of concealers, but these 2 are bar none my favorite go-tos right now. And they are the Estee Lauder Double Wear. This is the one that I have in my work kit, if you will, my makeup kit. It is long lasting. It's flexible. Both of the ones that I'm going to share with you are flexible, meaning that they move very nicely with the under eye skin. Sometimes I'll put a little bit on this discolored part of my chin area right here, these 2 parts right here, but mostly I just use it under my eyes. Mine is in the color 4N, which is for neutral. I can't say enough about this. To me, this is medium to full coverage. I don't do a whole ton. I just do like a little dot here, a dot on the outside. I give it a second to set. This one sets quickly, so you got to work quickly with the Estee Lauder. Don't wait too long. Like, don't get your cup of coffee. Just maybe like look at one email and then come back to your eyes or do it right away. But I like to use my fingers to tap this out and make it look even across my eyes. The other concealer that I really love, this does give you a little bit more time to work with. So I do let this sit a little bit more. It's the Sarah Creole Face Flex Concealer. This is phenomenal. This line is made for more mature women with lines on our face. I've got mine in the color 5.0, the Face Flex. I like this packaging, this little Art Deco packaging. It's both of these are nice sort of hardy packages and they're wonderful. They are fantastic. This Sarah Creole is even more flexible for your face. Again, I tap it out. All concealers crease, every single last one, at least on me, and especially as I get older. So, what I like to do with my concealers, these crease less than a lot of other products. The Hourglass is good for that too. I really love the Hourglass concealer and the Dior concealer. Look at me, just putting more in. The Skin Correct one is nice too. I mean, there's a lot of nice concealers. We could do a whole video just on concealers, but I like to let the concealer, once I tap it out, let it sit for a second, let it go ahead and crease. Like, do something else. Do your bronzer or do your foundation or whatever the next step is for you, and then go back in if you're like my age or you have, crepey under eyes or under eyes that crease very easily, let it go ahead and crease. But before it completely sets down and before you do any powdering, go back in with your fingers and especially right here, press again, press it out a second time. I find that that really helps make the concealer look better. I have to do that. I have to do that for my under eyes and no matter what concealer I use. So I hope that that works for you too. I'm wearing the Sarah Creole one right now. I forgot to tell y'all what other face products I have on. I used the Essence and I used a combination of the Bobbi Brown face base with the Ula Henriksen. Like I mixed them together for my foundation and I used the Tom Ford primer I think I shared. Okay, so then for foundation, oh my God, I have so many foundations, so many that I love, so many that could be ranked number one for this video. So please know that this is like 1 and 1.1 instead of like 1 and number two. And the other ones that I'm not going to mention, I'll do a top five foundation and concealer video separate, like I'm still doing that top five series. But all of those then would be like 1.3, 1.4, 1.5 instead of number two, number three, number four, because I have a lot of beautiful foundations. Perhaps my number one recommendation, because I think it looks good on so many different skin types, they've got a nice shade range and it is beautiful for mature skin, is the Givenchy Prisma Libre foundation. Mine is in the color 4.5 warm. It is what I am wearing today. What I love about this is that it is a nice, flexible, medium coverage, skin like foundation. So let me see if I could lean in a little bit here. I have very textured skin, especially right here, where as a teenager, I picked up my face like a lot of teenagers do. I have a little bit of texture on either side of my nose for the same reasons. And this foundation sits so nicely on it. You can still see my texture. It doesn't blur it out, but it looks to me so natural. Okay. And I have some lines on my forehead too that are starting to develop. I don't feel like it settles into any of that, but I feel like it sort of works nicely with all of that and allows me to look very natural, but evened out. This is a beautiful color for me, 4.5 warm. And it's a nice long lasting foundation. It's one of the foundations that does the least of that sort of weird caking up around the nose that happens with other foundations. I have to look really hard, like in the mirror that has the 10-point magnification to even notice that there's any breaking up at all around the nose at the end of the evening with this foundation. So in that way, it is nicely long lasting. And I find that it looks beautiful in terms of like evening the skin tone and providing a nice color for me without looking unnatural, caked up, overly mattified, anything like that. It's a very natural foundation that I'm happy to like wear in public spaces where I don't want other people to notice the makeup on me. What I mean by that is I don't want people coming up to me, like new colleagues that I'm meeting, for example, and be staring at my makeup versus listening to what I'm saying. I want it to be natural. So I feel like this is both nicely covering but natural looking. And I will say the same about the next one. So I don't know if this is 1.0 and 1.1 coming up next. I'm just for today, for the sake of ranking, going to say that this is the number one choice. But you all, I have a strong love affair with the House Labs, this long name, Triclone Skin Tech Foundation. I have it in 3 shades because I love it so much. And it is a go to product when I don't know what else to use and I just want to look like myself, but better. This is a go to. It can be light coverage if you use just a little bit, or it can be medium coverage. I don't really think of this as full coverage, but I guess it can be. You can put extra pumps on and build up the coverage. But at the most, it's like a hardy medium coverage to maybe low full coverage, but it can be sheer as well. So sheer-ish, because it does give coverage. I like that this is a juicy foundation that looks nicely radiant without appearing oily. It's a very natural look. I have 3 colors. Hold on. There's one that I'm about to reorder because I'm nearly done with it. Which one? The 300 medium neutral. I'm about down to here on it. I've shaken it up today, but this one needs to be reordered soon. I also have 310 medium warm, and I have 325 medium warm for days that I'm especially tan. On normal days, this 300 medium neutral works just fine, like when I'm not, super tanned or whatever. I can't say enough good things about this. It is such a natural, beautiful, radiant looking foundation or semi radiant. And you can mattify it down a little bit, but I wouldn't bother because the whole point is that it looks so natural, like a your skin, but better foundation with decent coverage as well. And it just never fails me. I never, ever, when I put this on, feel like I put on too much, like I look unnatural, like people would notice the foundation on me. It's just so lovely that way. I could recommend probably a dozen more foundations, but I'm gonna stop there since I promised myself I would do 1 and an honorable mention or 2 at the most. So then next, I typically will powder my face before I do bronzer. Sometimes I do bronzer before I powder if my foundation that I'm using has dried down nicely. If it's still tacky, my foundation, I will powder it a little bit. I have a lot of beautiful powders. I love the Hourglass powder. I love the Huda Easy Bake or whatever it's called powder. I love the Givenchy Prisma Libra powder, both the loose one that has the 4 different colors, and I like the compact packed one. I like the Patrick Star one size powder. That's amazing. I probably want to pick one of those up in the sale. But there are 2 that I'm going to go ahead and recommend. Oh my gosh. And the Hourglass powders, second to none. But in terms of just normal powdering for your face, 2 top recommendations for today. The Makeup by Mario Surreal Skin Soft Blur Setting Powder. Mine is in the color 3 Neutral Peach, which has a little bit of peachiness to it. It is what I use today to lightly powder over the Givenchy Prisma Libra, which doesn't need it. I mean, this doesn't need powdering, but for me, since I'm an oily gal and I use a lot of moisturizing products, I do like to use a little bit of powder typically to kind of keep the oil from getting too out of control. I don't want to look like I want to look radiant, but I don't want to be an oil slick. And this is just a nicely milled, finely milled powder that is easy to grab. It has just a little bit of luminance to it. Luminosity, I think is the word, without looking overly shiny or anything. And again, I just think it's such a beautiful natural look that allows your natural skin to shine through without overwhelming it with a lot of powder. Beautiful, like a lightweight, easygoing powder. However, for those of you that like to heavily mattify, I can't say enough good things about the Laura Mercier. Hold on, this is a long name. Translucent Loose Setting Powder Ultra Blur. I have mine in the color Translucent Honey. There are, I think, 3 or 4 colors. There might be just like a clear one that appears white, but it goes clear on the skin. And then maybe 2 or 3 that have a little bit of tint. So this is, again, a little honey peachy in nature. I love this for days that I want to look very mattified or that I want my makeup to last a long time and I want my foundation to stay put and be helped by powder. This is an exquisite powder, long lasting and beautiful. So then typically I will go in with a bronzer. Sometimes I do it before I powder, like I said. I will say, even though I fought this bronzer for a long time because there was so much hype about it, I was like, could it really be that fantastic? Fantastico. It's the Giorgio Armani. This is my top recommendation. And you all, I have bronzer upon bronzer upon bronzer, and I am a bronzer. I'm a fiend for some bronzer. I would have all the bronzers in the world if I could. I have very, very many, dozens and dozens. I have used dozens and dozens and gone through very many in the past. I can't say enough good things about this Luminous Silk Bronzing Powder. Mine is in the color 110, which looks like that. And I'm going to hold this up to the camera and twist it a little bit so you can see it has a little bit of sheen to it, like the slightest bit of sheen. And I really like that about it. I think it's great. I have it on today and I put it all around the perimeter of my face. I kind of do like the top of I have a big forehead. You know how people joke around and say they have a 5 head? I kind of have a 4.5 head or something. But I will take a big bronzer brush like this one and put it all over my forehead. And I kind of bring it down low, like to the middle. And I usually go right here, sort of under where I would apply cheek product, blush. I go under here I don't do a whole lot of contouring. Sometimes I do, especially when I'm filming videos. I might try to like cut the cheek in a little bit with a darker contour, but for the most part, I use something warm and bronzy like this underneath. I also bronze underneath my chin to give it some shadow and down my neck. The last thing I do is I will bring a little bit of bronzer down my nose on the sides. I don't do a whole ton of that. It looks better on camera than in person. It kind of like helps, shape my nose a little bit. And on occasion, I will bring bronzer through the crease of where my eyeshadow would go to provide a backdrop for the rest of the eyeshadow look. This is lovely. It is very silky. It is soft. It doesn't feel too strong. There are some bronzers I have that are really pigmented and strong, like my Scott Barnes bronzers. They are amazing, but they have so much pigment that you have to have a really light hand. And then there are other bronzers that are so light that you barely see them. And cream bronzers are hard for me. I do have one cream bronzer that I'll recommend. I'm all over the place, but cream bronzers can be hard because it's easy to buff them out too much. I feel like this does such a nice job of warming up the entire face. This particular color, if you're my skin color like this or tone, I am, self-tanned as y'all know. I talk about that all the time. I'm self-tanned. So if you look like this is a beautiful shade to provide some warmth without overwhelming the face with a color that is unnatural or too dark. I can't say enough good things. And I love that it's a big pan. It's got a mirror if that's important to you. I never look in the mirrors of products to do my makeup, like ever. Very rarely, unless I'm traveling. But this is a nice big pan that you can swirl a big brush into. So, top recommendation, this one. By the way, my recommendations today are coming from ease of use. That was the thing I had top of mind when I was selecting the products for this video. What is easiest to use and I know is going to look good on many, many people. My runner up are the Hourglass bronzers. I mean, Hourglass powders in general are so beautifully done. It is their specialty. The single pans look like this. Of course, you can get those holiday sets that have the setting powder, that have the highlighting powder, that have a blush, and that have a bronzer, the strobe lighting powders, all of that. You can do all that. I have a lot of those. I probably have, in terms of the palettes for Hourglass, I probably have about 12 of the palettes. But then I also have these individual ones. I have individual blushes and I have individual powders like this. This is Nude Bronze Light. It's kind of hard to tell what these are going to look like on your skin. So take a look at the models on the advertisement, but then also like look up the color and go do image search on Google yourself to see if it will work on your skin tone. What I like about these, again, these are nice, healthy size pans. They're not huge, but they're big enough to get a brush in, which is important to me. Anyway, there's some new products that are they're so small, it's hard to get a brush in them. This is a nice size. And they're so finely milled. They give you a light wash, but it's also impactful. Like you're going to see this on your skin, but it also just blends so beautifully into your skin. It's hard to tell where one section of your face begins and the other ends. So what I mean by that is it doesn't create harsh lines on your skin at all. It is such a lovely lightweight powder. I think these are baked if I'm not mistaken. And most baked powders tend to have this sort of lightness about them, but it's still impactful. So beautiful powders. Next, I will typically do my eyes. I could talk about eyeshadow all the live long day. I have a top 5 eyeshadow palette video posted of both small eyeshadow palettes and large eyeshadow palettes if you're interested in seeing that. So one of my recommendations is currently sold out. So I'll just talk about it briefly, just in case it happens to come back in stock. It would be my top recommendation from the sale for people of all skin tones, like the entire range from super light to super chocolate and everything in between. This YSL Nude Hours. And I've chatted with y'all about this packaging. I don't like fabric packaging, but I don't mind it on here because it's so beautiful of a palette. Friends, I won't spend a whole lot of time, but look, just look. Okay, I'm going to put this away because it's hard to come by and I don't know if it's going to come back in stock. I'm going to give you my runner up first, and it's what I have on my eyes today. And that is the Makeup by Mario newly released again Ethereal Eyes palette, the original. So there are 2 other palettes that look like this in this line. There is the Moonlight Seduction. No, that's a Pat McGrath thing. Moonlight something. Moonlight Eyes? Ethereal Eyes, Moonlight, somebody or other. It's the one that has the navy blue pop and the more cool tone gray colors. It is a beautiful palette. I ended up giving that away because I found myself not reaching for that as often as I would like. But if you like gray shadows, it's a gorgeous one. And there's the Nature palette that has the green pop in it and the more earthy tones overall, like brownie earthy tones. Also a nice palette. I didn't feel compelled to keep it compared to other eyeshadows in my collection. This one is the one that has been sold out. I think it came out and then went away and then came back out for like a holiday re-release and then was gone for well over a year and a half, maybe 2 years. And people have been trying to sell this on Mercari and eBay for ridiculous prices, like well over $100, $150, $200. And people have bought them because it is a really good palette. So this one I think is 60 something dollars and with the sale, well worth it. It's got a nice combination of warm shadows and a few cooler leaning. I don't think they're super cool. I think they're more neutral, cool leaning. And it's got this row of shimmers and these two shimmers. The colors that I have on my eyes today, this is the backdrop. So it's sort of up through here. I kind of did like an all over wash with this on my eye. Then I went in with this one to kind of deepen up the crease. I used this color sort of through the crease and blew that out a bit. This color here is, or is it? No, I'm sorry. This one, this lighter brown color is on the very outer edge of my eyelid and through this piece here, this outer V as it's called. And then I have two of the shimmers. This is one of the most beautiful shimmers I've ever seen. That is on the outer corner of my lid here, like from the middle to the outer corner. And then this color here is on the inside up. I think I used a little bit of this more goldy looking one as well. Excuse me, this one. I'm looking at this upside down. I think I did this one on the inner corner and then that one to sort of top it all. So that is what the look looks like. I didn't add any other eyeshadows on, so you can kind of get a sense of how everyday this is. I know people liked the palette for these shimmers in particular, the buttery, easy to use mattes that come on as like a nice wash and you can deepen them up pretty quickly if you want to, or you can just do keep it light, right? I think that's what I like about this palette. You can keep it as light and innocent and day to day as you want, or you can get a little bit more sultry. I would say I kind of got like medium sultriness going on here for the video. It's not as deep and dark as I could get, but I wanted you to see something I would wear day to day. I applied just enough of the shimmers that it has some impact without getting too crazy for like a work situation. If I wanted to amp this up, I would probably use some kind of eye primer. Pat McGrath has one. I think MAC has one. There are a bunch of like primers that are just for shimmers in particular, where you can put it down. It has a lot of tack to it. And then you can put the shimmer over it, like tap it on, and it really holds on to as much of the shimmer as possible. All of that to say, this is my backup eyeshadow for today, my runner up choice. And the reason that it's a runner up is because I have two others that I think are even better than this because they're more versatile and they have more shades and would probably satisfy a broader audience. But for those of you that have been waiting for this to come back, grab it if it's still in stock. Just know that it's a powdery yet creamy neutral formula here. And you have to tap it off. So some people don't like that. I don't care. Like I put my brush in it and tap the excess off. And then the shimmers, if you're not careful how you apply them, can have a little bit of fallout. So just know that. But it's a beautiful palette and it's great for day to day. And I like the size of it and everything. But my top recommendation are these are still in my mind newly released palettes. And I would say get them both if you are a medium tone person. If you are someone that is on the lighter end of the spectrum, maybe just get the soft palette. And if you are someone that is more on the chocolate end of the spectrum, think about the dramatic palette. But it is the two Natasha Denona Eye Sculpt Texture and Tone palettes. Since these were released, they have had a hard time taking a backseat to any palettes in my collection, even the two that I just mentioned, the YSL Nude and the Makeup by Mario, because these are so versatile. I like the packaging on them. Here is the soft palette. Okay, so this has got a little bit more of the pastel colors, but there's enough drama on this end that you could get yourself a nice dramatic look too if you just wanted to get a one and done. There are only two shimmers here. However, to me, they are two gorgeous shimmers that you can do a lot with. This sort of champagne-y, pearly one that you could use for inner corner to the middle of your eyelid or all over if you want. And then this more sort of chocolatey, bronzy, coppery deal here. Maybe it's more like a pewter coppery bronzy brown Combination of colors that can be like on the outer edge or again, all over your eye if you want a smoky look. What a beautiful collection of shadows here. They are not powdery. They do not have fallout. The shimmers in the next palette might have like a touch of fallout, but they really do perform well. And then that is the dramatic palette. So again, if you are on the lighter end of the skin tone spectrum, these might feel a little overpowering unless you like a dramatic look. And this palette here, the soft one, might be more up your alley. If you are medium toned, this is this is it. You want to get both of these, and because you can get your day-to-day looks out of this, or you can glam it up with this dramatic palette. The middle row here is all shimmers and you get some nice colors here. I like that you can use the champagne shimmer here as like an inner corner pop and use one of these shimmers on the rest of the lid. But just in general, you can't go wrong with these two palettes. They really are overall phenomenal quality and phenomenal variety for those of you that are eyeshadow fans that use eyeshadow every day. It would take you years to go through this. So if that's all you wanted to get, go for it. After I do my eyeshadow look, most days I will wear an eyeliner, not every single day. Sometimes I don't want to fuss with it. My favorite eyeshadow formula at the moment, hands down, this has beat out the Victoria Beckham, my Huda Beauty, all of the eyeshadows is the Hung Van Gogh formula. Wow, I have it in black and the two browns. The two browns are called Use Your Own Judgment, Tie It Together. The black is called Along the Lash Line. Get all three. Get the black. I have the black on now and get the other two. These set down so quickly. First of all, they're nice and creamy. I have gotten into the habit of only doing like just past the midline of my eye over to the edge. I feel like that keeps my eye looking uplifted and youthful, but provides some definition. If I want to be really dramatic, I will put it in the lower waterline. But typically, from a day to day perspective, I only do it on the top, like what you see here. And it's perfect for me. These, they last all the live long day. They are beautiful, highly pigmented, and go on well. They glide on and they set down right away, and you don't have any problems with your eyeliner the rest of the day. You don't see your eyeliner come down here. Like, sometimes you see mascara and eyeliner little bits and pieces along the um this part, like the under eye of people. No. These stay put. These are phenomenal. Maybe my top recommendation from the Hung Van Gogh line. I said that like I have a bunch. I have some lip liners. The lip liners are beautiful too. I'm not going to mention them in the lip liners, but they are amazing. They do like this. They set down and they stay. And I have a blush. Let me sneak that in here because it's kind of pretty. The blush that I have is called Possibilities, and I actually have a wish list item with one of the pink ones. Look how pumpkiny beautiful that is. But we're talking about the eyeliners. Get yourself the Hung Van Gogh eyeliners and thank me later. I am also going to be picking up, so this is like my honorable mention because I haven't used it yet. I've just heard a lot of people say great things about it. I'm going to be picking up some of the Sarah Creole eyeliners because I've heard really good things that they are slightly better even than my beloved Victoria Beckham satin Kajal liners that blend out so nicely. Victoria Beckham isn't sold at Sephora. So I want to pick up a few of the colors of the Sarah Creole. I heard they were beautiful. So that is on my wish list. Then I will do mascara. I have used a lot of different mascaras through the year. I have a top recommendation for you right now, a runner up, and maybe one more suggestion. And then I have some others on the way that I'm trying out. I've tried out so many. Top recommendation is the Bobbi Brown Smoky Eyes Mascara. I think it only comes in black. I don't even remember. It's what I'm wearing today. I like that it has a nice big wand. I appreciate a big fluffy wand that lifts my eyelashes, coats them nicely, and doesn't leave a bunch of goop and like clumps in my eyes. I don't really like that look. I like a clean eyelash look. This gives me nice volume and nice coverage without the mess. Now, if I do want a little bit more coverage and I want it to be a little bit more wet without being totally clumpy, goopy, and everything, I do still like the Lancome Monsieur Big mascara. Kathleen Lights turned me on to this. It's a very wet formula with a big brush. It does give big eyelashes and really sort of like thick eyelashes without getting too clumpy. Don't overwork this. Maybe do like two coats and keep it alone or leave it alone rather. The other mascara formula that I continue to love and purchase is the Dark Star mascara from Pat McGrath. That's a drier formula. I reach for this smoky eyes from Bobbi Brown more. This is what I take to travel to work events because it's reliable and it doesn't look gaudy or overdone. It looks, as natural as nice eyelashes can look when you use mascara. So these are my top 2 recommendations from the sale. There's lots of beautiful mascaras, and mascara is so individual to how your eyelashes look, how they hold or don't hold shape. Of course, I curl my eyelashes before I put on my mascara, but mascara can be really fussy. So you have to choose something that works for your eye shape, your eyelashes, and that's just such an individual decision. So I'll leave it at that. Next, I will do my eyebrows, and I've been rocking steady with 2 eyebrow pencils for years and years. They are my top recommendations at the moment. The Anastasia Brow Wiz, which is what I'm wearing today, in the color chocolate. So this is my favorite because it's a nice dark brown without looking too stark or almost black. And I fill in this sort of inner corner of my eyelashes and I pull it out to the end and give it just an extra little bit of tail. Sometimes I'll fill in the top part of the eyebrow a little bit to just give it more volume. I think I pulled this left tail down further than this right tail. So let's see if we can fix that. But it gives nice strokes of, hair-like color if you don't overwork it. So this is a reliable one. A runner up is the Precisely My Brow Pencil, which I have in lots of different colors. This one is in 3.75. I use 3.52, the brown colors in general. This is a nice one as well. I think the Brow Wiz is maybe a top choice. I'm not quite sure. I did order the new Anastasia one that has almost like a flat edge that's really thin. I want to try that out. Then for like eyebrow gel, if you use one, you can't beat the Anastasia one. So that's like an old favorite. Do I have one in here to show you? Yes, I do. I have the Anastasia one in brunette, which looks a little bit goldy, and it does have kind of like a shiny reflect to it, but it looks mostly brown on the eye shadow. So that's the eyeshadow, the eyebrow. This has been a go-to for years. They also have a clear one, but the one that I use pretty much on a daily or every other day basis is the Kosas Air Brow. I've been through multiple little tubes of this. This is in the color chocolate, and it just adds a little bit of volume. The brush is small and manageable here. And I usually just brush up a little bit like this. It doesn't have a dramatic effect, but it sort of helps to finish the whole thing off and give it some additional color. I think I just got some on my microphone cover here. My microphone cover got some makeup on it. It's been, glammed up. Next, I will typically do cheeks. I wanna talk about highlighter. I don't often do highlighter, like, on a day-to-day basis. I do have some on today. I have a little bit of highlighter right here at the top of my cheeks, a little bit across the bridge, a tiny bit on my nose, and just a little tiny bit right under the height of the arch brow here. And what I put on, so this is like an honorable mention, and then I have 2 suggestions. It's the new Givenchy Prisma Libra highlighters that were recently released. This is in the color O3 Pearly Gold. I love what they did with the imprint on here, and I love that it comes out exactly as it looks in the pan. You can see it here. It's sort of like a white pearl effect with just a hint of something a little bit more on the gold side, maybe even like a silver platinum gold kind of look. So I call it pearly with a little hint of gold. And I like that. That is a really good color for me. Oh, I mentioned a bronzer before that I was going to talk about. I didn't bring it in here, but it is the Tom Ford 2-in-1 where it has a highlighter and a bronzer. And I think I have mine in the color 01. I'll pop up a picture of what the pan of it looks like. I am working my way through the current one. I'm not sure if I need to order one right away, if I can wait till the fall sale. Love that. That is one of the only cream highlighters and cream bronzers that looks amazing because the highlighter portion of that gives a beautiful natural wet effect that just looks like you have beautifully glowing skin, not like you're trying too hard with too much highlighter. And the bronzer is a very natural look as well. But anyway, all that to say, I really like this new Givenchy one. I haven't used it enough to make it a top recommendation, but so far I like the way it looks and melts into the skin nicely. When you first put it on, it looks a little powdery. Give it Give it like 10 minutes and then it sinks nicely and meshes well with whatever moisturizer or natural moisture and heat you have. And to me, looks very glass-like. Like it. Win. But that isn't my top recommendation because I'm still sort of testing this out. My top recommendation, I don't like the packaging on this. So it's one of those products that I do forgive the packaging of because I love the product inside. It's this Dior 4 pan highlighter. This one is 001 Universal. I love that it's called the strobe white, strobe gold. It calls the two ones on the bottom blushes, but I like to use them as highlighters and maybe even eyeshadow from time to time. This is gorgeous. Let me do the swatchy thing here. Haven't been swatching a lot of stuff. Oh my God. See what I mean? See what I mean? That is so beautiful. All of the pans behave that way. They go on that easy. I didn't even press hard. So it is a really pigmented but glass-like look. Another one that sinks in so lovely on your skin. And I love that these are versatile because you can use them as both highlighter and eyeshadow or for a pop on your eyelids. Let's do that. Let me see if I can just with my finger do a little bit on the inner corner of my eye. Yep, you can already see that taking effect there. Boom. I've just given myself an inner corner highlight. Let me do a little bit of this gold on the eye. And this is over the Makeup by Mario powder, so you have to keep that in mind. But see how easily that glides on? And just adds that extra pop of light. Beautiful. I haven't found any highlighters that beat this at Sephora. This one is sold at Sephora. Top notch, lasts all day, very lightweight, but very impactful. There is new packaging for this. This is sort of an older compact, and I wouldn't hesitate to repurchase this if and when I ever use this up, because it only takes a little bit of that to go a long way. I also want to give a shout out to the new Prada highlighters. Yes, I finally gave into the hype. I hate that this covering is a fingerprint magnet. That really bugs me. This one is in the color Light 01. I think that's what the color is. It looks like that. Another one that is a little bit deceiving in the pan because it comes off to me a little bit lighter. Like if that is a little lighter gold than it appears here in the pan. Oh, 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 oh. Whew. That was almost a disaster. But anyway, the pans are refillable. As you can see, they come out, they pop out. And so some people like that. But anyway, it's a very nice highlighter. Another one that is glass-like, if you will, and gives a really dewy effect. Why is it not like, oh, is it because I'm pushing it from the back? I don't know. But anyway, the packaging I don't love the most. So that's why it's a runner-up. Then I will go in with blush. I like a lot of blushes, a lot of blushes. You know, if you get the Hourglass palettes, the blushes in those are just beautiful. The individual Hourglass blushes are beautiful. There are a lot of beautiful blush formulas, but I also wanted to choose a couple that have cute packaging. So my top selection are the YSL blushes. Again, this is a case where I don't mind this squishy packaging and it actually looks really cute. Like something about this cute little compact I really like. So I have two colors here. I thought I had a third one. I may order another one. I have number 23 and number 06. Number 23 is this sort of mauvey color that is just lovely. It's both rosy, but has enough like earthy tone in it that you could use it with more earthy eyeshadow colors and all of that. And then I have this one that is 06. It's in my travel bag. And this is like a peachy pinky duo color that is really, really pretty and also versatile. It goes with a lot of different colors. I usually use this with my more cooler toned look that I take with me on travel, but you can use it with a warm look as well. And I think these are just the cutest little packages. So a lot of people like this next packaging. I think it's okay. Like it is cute, but I'm not as like fawning over it as other people are. And they are the little Gucci blushes. I like that these are small and easy to handle, but they're big enough that you can tap a blush brush in there with no problem. The color that I'm wearing today and probably need to put a little bit more on is this apricot color. One of the things I really like about this is it's really lightweight, almost like this ethereal, wispy, powdery type of application. It's hard to go wrong, and you can't like, well, I guess you could, but it's hard to over apply these because they are so easy to put on and a little bit like lightweight in nature. I like the tone of this. This apricot one, tender apricot, is maybe my favorite shade of the line. It's so easy and such a nice peachy, warm color, but still bright. And then I have '05 Radiant Pink, which is this sort of like baby doll pink color. And then I have '04 Bright Coral, which is a little bit more rosy pinky than the color I'm wearing today, the apricot, and is nice for cool tone looks. Beautiful little blushes. And they apply so easy. It's like foolproof to apply them. All right, I'm gonna do lips and setting spray, and then I promise this long video will be over. I, for the most part, use lip liner. Not always, but I would say maybe like 85% of the time I've got a lip liner on Today, I'm wearing one of my favorite lip liners, and I want to talk with you about another lip liner. These are both, to me, unsung hero lip liners. There are lots of lip liners that I love. It's a category that I go crazy in. I probably have 50 or more lip liners, maybe 60, maybe 70. I don't even know. The Makeup by Mario lip liners are amazing. Everybody talks about those. Everyone talks about the Makeup Forever lip liners. They are gorgeous and long lasting as well and very versatile. I like the Huda lip liners, particularly terracotta and warm brown if you like warmer tone looks. Those are easy to use. The Fenty ones are pretty. The Anastasia ones are nice and long lasting. There's a bunch. I feel like I'm going to miss out on talking about one of the beautiful lines, but there are two that I want to show you. Maybe my top selection for long lasting lip liners, although they don't have the best variety of colors. So, in that sense, they kind of did us a little dirty, are the Tom Ford lip liners. These are pretty pricey. I think they come in at like $50 a lip liner. So the sale is a nice time to get them if you value good lip liners. There is one thing about the packaging that I don't like, and that's that these little gold stripes, for some reason, they just get beat up along the way, and it kind of annoys me for the price tag. But these are some of the longest lasting lip liners. I have the color A-List, which looks like that. That's A-List, a nice sort of brown wine color, really deep. Probably the most practical one is color Irresistible. That's easy use, like a Your Lips, but better depending on the color of your lips. I have A-List on today, by the way. That is what I'm wearing. And then the third color that I have is Re-C. I think they have, this is very light. I very rarely use light lip liner. I'm usually somewhere in this tone for my lip liner because I use it to sort of frame my mouth and then go in with typically, not always, a lighter lip color of some kind or some glossy lip hybrid. I'll talk about that in just a minute. But I go in with a lip color. So anyway, this is the color that I'm wearing. These are very long lasting. I am rubbing and they are having a hard time coming off. Whereas other lip liners, there's a lot of lip liners I feel like you do that and they immediately just disappear. So these stick, which is a good thing, especially when you're paying that kind of price tag. Like I just rub the heck out of my hand and that top one is still sticking on for dear life. I'm gonna have to use a makeup remover to get them off. Put some Cinema Secrets on there. Yeah, even then there's like remnants of it there. Okay, and then the other lip liner that I really want to give a shout out to, oh, the Hung Van Gogh, like I mentioned, those are great too. These are not really talked about, and I think they are such a beautiful packaging piece and such a nice range of very practical lip liner colors. They are the Dior lip liners. They are pretty expensive. I have four here and maybe another one floating around somewhere. But these are beautiful and they match the lip colors. I love the Dior lipsticks as well. I'll show you 200 and 300, which are really practical day to day colors. 200 is called Nude Touch. So there you go. And then 300 is called Nude Style. Subtle difference. Nude Style is more deeper, rosy mauve. Nude Touch is a little bit more neutral, maybe a slight hint of brownie peachy color in there. They've got such a variety of colors, including really dark colors like this one, the 400 nude line. And I think it goes up to like a 6 or 700, all the way to super duper light colors and everything in between. And they match the lipstick colors. These are beautiful. And I like the way that the packaging looks. I don't typically fuss around with these kind of like brushes on the end, but if you do, they got you covered. I like that they put the stripe around the top to show you what the color looks like. I like the way it feels in hand. It's a nice big long pencil, so it'll last you a long time. They just look really pretty and the coloring on them and everything, the lettering rather doesn't fade, they stay put. Really, really nicely made pencil. And again, I'm trying to wipe them off with all my life and they are refusing to come off. So I'm going to have to use some of the Cinema Secrets to get them off. So they are also very long lasting lip liners, which I appreciate because I have so many lip liners that I love, like the Fenty and the Huda Beauty. They come on so buttery and they have beautiful colors, but they fade quickly. The minute that you wipe your mouth or eat something greasy, they're gone. They're like, see you later. You're going to have to reapply me. And it's a pain. Okay, so lipstick is the next to last product that I do on my face. You all, I have gazillions of lipsticks. I'm not going to talk about lip gloss because I don't use as much lip gloss as I have in the past. I have a lot of lip gloss, but I don't use it as much. I much prefer to put on a lipstick, either a matte. I love matte lipsticks. I love satin lipsticks. I love glossy lipsticks. So I'm going to share with you a day-to-day formula that I have raved and raved and raved about that I think has a nice, versatile, easy set of colors to choose from. They are decently lasting. They don't last all day, but they're really easy to apply and just beautiful on the lips. They don't really stand out like, oh, she's wearing a lot of lipstick. They just feel natural to me, and they are the NARS Explicit formula. I have so many of these. I probably have 8, 7, 8 of these at this point, and keep looking at other colors to get. They have everything from a very light color, like this color called Liaison. That's a really light pinky peachy color that is just beautiful. It's got a little bit of sheen to it, all the way to darker, deep red colors, deep brown colors, and everything in between. A few others that stand out to me that I wanted to show you. This color is called Envy. So sort of pinky, browny, day-to-day color, and then the color Bare It All. That one has a little bit more peach and rosiness, but they're beautiful, your lips but better nude colors all the way, from very light all the way to very rich, dark, gothy, pigmented colors. They're beautiful. They glide on so lovely, and you see they have a little bit of sheen, so they never make your lips look dried out. I like a good matte lip, but the older you get and the drier your lips get, the more a matte lipstick can feel very drying on the lips and emphasize lines and colors in a way that maybe isn't the most attractive. You know what I mean? So then I wanted to show you another formula that is actually glossy. So if you want one of those sort of day-to-day formulas that looks like both a lipstick and a gloss, you know, I've talked about the YSL candy gloss or whatever, the high shine ones, the Dior lip oils. There's a version of those that has a lot of pigment in them that's really beautiful. There are a bunch of formulas that do that. One that I'm especially liking lately are the Dior ones. These are called the Rouge Dior collection. So I have 3, and I think I may have a 4th one somewhere that I can't find. I have one of these on today. The color that I am wearing is the color 300. I love that these are both like a lipstick, like a high shine lipstick and a gloss in one, and they stick. They stick. They get a little bit sticky. In fact, as the day goes on, not terribly. These have really grown on me. I think when I first got these, I liked them a lot, but I wasn't enamored with them. The more that I wear them and use them, the more I really appreciate that they stick around a long time. They have a beautiful glossy finish if that is what you're going for the day. And they can look really natural. So this is the most dramatic color I have, and that is the color 390. Hold on, y'all. Okay, I cannot see because I'm blind, but the color that I'm wearing is the number 390. These are the Dior Rouge Dior On Stage lipstick is what they're called. And the color is 390 Redwood Star. It's described as a bluish brown red. I guess I can see that. Okay. And then there's a variety of colors. I also have the color 120 Iconic Rose. It's considered a pinkish nude. And this is a real everyday color that I will use like when I'm sitting at my desk, when I want to look kind of cute. It's a little bit on the cool tone, well, a lot of it on the cool tone side. To me, it has a lot of blue undertone, maybe even silvery. And the other color that I have is 222 Confident Nude, which is that color. So you see that they have a decent amount of pigment. They're not completely opaque, but they definitely have some good color to them. The packaging is really nice. The only annoying thing about the packaging is the way that these are shaped, even though they look square, they don't fit every direction. They only fit on 2 sides. So you gotta, like, turn it around until it clicks in, but that's okay. So it's got the C, D for, Christian Dior. These are really nice. I enjoy these. They last a long time. They're very easy, and they get slightly sticky as the day goes on, which I appreciate. It's not annoying to me. It's just something to keep in mind. I kinda like to me, it's a sign that it's still there and going strong. So then the last thing that I do before I shut down my makeup routine for the day, mostly, I don't always do this, but when I remember, I do put on a setting spray. Some makeup artists claim you don't need setting spray and you don't need primer. I like them both, and I have 2 to recommend. The new Danessa Myricks Yummy Skin Liquid Blurring Balm Mattifying Setting Spray. This has something called Upsolite technology, which is supposed to, I don't remember what it's supposed to do. I think it's supposed to just help with the mattifying feature as you go on. I wear this most days just because I'm an oily gal and I appreciate the extra mattification, especially if I'm using products that are already going to create extra, glistening oiliness as the day goes on. This is a nice one to put over it. And then I also want to recommend the one size powder melt glass setting spray. This is what I have on. I believe that this is supposed to give you a sort of glass like finish. And I think it does, but it doesn't look overly dewy to me. I just think it looks like a natural sheen or shine like my skin would normally have. So this is lovely as well. There are a lot of beautiful setting sprays. Look and see what's out there and what the reviews look like to choose for you. I think that is the end, friends, of my skin prep and makeup top recommendations from Sephora. Let me know again if you're interested in an evening skincare routine and hair products video as well. I'd be happy to do one of those for you. And please stay tuned for the upcoming top 5 ongoing video series. I think I'm going to do concealer and foundation and primers next. So you'll see some of these products. Again, thank you so much. Everything is linked down in the description box. And I appreciate if you shop through those links. It is no extra cost to you. It does help out the channel. There is some commission that comes my way if you shop through those links. And if you don't want to, that's fine too. Thank you so much for hanging out with me and hearing my recommendations. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Take care.